Welcome to a self-published author's diary. I am Elodie Novodatsky. I write about first times, second chances, things that scare the crap out of me, and things that make me laugh out loud. I'll be speaking with you and sharing my adventures in self-publishing, the behind the scenes of writing, and the business side of it. And before we get started today, a small message from our sponsor, Anchor. Thanks for listening. Good morning. It is Thursday, September 16th, 2 days after the release of The Leftover Bride. And I wanted to, at the beginning, record throughout the release day and share with you some of the things, what I've done in the morning and, everything. And then I was so busy and there was such a roller coaster of emotions that I did not record. So here I am today, 2 days after, and I celebrated. What did I do to celebrate, you may ask? Well, I had a hot chocolate during the afternoon. I talked to my family on that day, which was great, to my sisters, my mother. One of my nieces was there. My nephew popped up. No, my nephew wasn't there. No, he was at soccer. So my dad popped up a little bit, but otherwise to my sisters and my mother and one of my nieces. So that was awesome. And then at night, we went to one of our favorite local restaurants that serves the best crab cakes. And we had, as appetizers, we had like shrimp and potatoes and onions, and I had a crab cake and with cucumber salad and an amazing, amazing green beans with like sauteed in garlic. Delicious. And then as dessert, Aunt Louise, as she's called, made lemon and blueberry cake. And I had sangria. 2 glasses of sangria. Definitely celebrated. And yeah. So that was a fun celebration of my release, of all that work and all that excitement and just enjoying the moment, because release day for some reason was a roller coaster. So yeah, if I interviewed my husband about, so how was release day for your wife? I'm pretty sure he'd have things to say. I got anxious. I celebrated some more. I wondered how to keep my expectations in check while still dreaming for the best, and reminding myself of the goals that I had set for this book, and then seeing the wonderful feedback that I was already getting from readers and enjoying the fact that I am making people smile. So yeah, so as you can tell, it's a lot. This book, as I've mentioned several times, is so close to my heart, and seeing it out in the world is wonderful. And then it's like, it's no longer with me. It's a weird feeling to know that Sorcha and Ryan are now out in many countries around the globe, being read, and it's like their story being read. It's something. The day of publication, I, sent the newsletter, I published on my blog, I published on social media, I did several social media posts, and it's easier to be a bit more active because I'm no longer eating, breathing, and sleeping The Leftover Bride. So it's a bit easier to be more present in other areas, including social media. And release day went great. For background, The Leftover Bride is currently not on Kindle Unlimited. It's currently wide. And I had told my newsletter subscribers that I would have it wide in terms of pre-order, and then a couple of days after release, I would remove it from the other e-retailers and I would put it into Kindle Unlimited. And the reason why I want to put it in Kindle Unlimited is that I want to see how it does, because it's my first adult rom-com, and I'm wondering if the audience in Kindle Unlimited, like what type of audience is there maybe for my book. So this is what I did. I wanted it to be available in a widely for people to pre-order and for people to read, to have the opportunity to read it. And I am going to have the print being able to be requested at libraries. So like libraries will still be able to get a version of The Leftover Bride. And I have to look into the fact that some Kindle books are also available via Overdrive. So that's something I need to ask Amazon about and see if that's something that I can add or find a way to have as well. So that's on my to-do list. In terms of numbers, I have reached the most pre-orders in English-speaking books for me, not overall, with The Leftover Bride. And I also have the most sales. Like in 2 days, I reached the number of orders that I had for Trust Me, Trust Me Not, which was my last English-speaking book that I've released 2 years ago. It took me a month to arrive to the number of orders that I have for The Leftover Bride already. So it's definitely my best-selling English book. I also found a Facebook ad, which I did run the day of release, which I stopped right now because I'm waiting for it to be in Kindle Unlimited before running another ad. And it was 12 cents, 10 to 12 cents per click, cost per click, and the conversion rate seemed to be pretty high once people were on the bookstoread.com site. So it was good. I seem to have found the niche for that book in terms of Facebook ads, so that I'm very happy about. I'm also doing stuff on TikTok. My husband also did a dance of TikTok to help me promote my book, and I published it also on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, it's actually that one I posted on the Leftover Bride handle, because the Leftover Bride handle is a business handle, so I can do promotion if I want to, like, ads if I want to. And my personal is not a business account. My personal is still, it's an author/personal, and I don't want to change it to a business account. So this has been my decision. Again, I might change it at some point, but just because I share different things, it just, I don't know, it's just weird to have it as a business account. And I might be wrong, but it's having the Leftover Bride handle as a business account and doing also ads from that particular account, I think works better for me, and it works better for me on a personal and professional level. So that's kind of how I decided to deal with it. And it was interesting because so the Leftover Bride release, and Courtney Summers, who is the author of Cracked Up to Be and This Is Not a Test and Sadie and The Project, she released a reel on Instagram not too long ago. I'm going to link to it. I think she released it a couple of days ago. And it was very interesting because it's a reel where she's talking about, how you're only as good as your next book, and how that sometimes scares the authors because it depends on how how their books are going, and how it's always thinking about the next book. And she finishes the reel where it's like you only realize when something has happened because you throw yourself in your books, right? So when it's being written, you're there, and then you put it out, and then you kind of disappear into the next book. And then that's her words. And then she says, sometimes publishing and writing things like you're never arriving. And you don't know where your stories have taken you until like someone points out behind you and said, you were there. And to me, that resonated a lot in terms of reminding myself also of how much I've already accomplished, of how much I still want to accomplish, of course, but reminding myself that The Leftover Bride will make people smile, and that a lot of my books, I've was reminded recently that, I had teenagers especially for my YA books, I had teenagers who reached out to me because my book either got them to read, which is such an amazing feeling. And also how I have in 1, 2, 3, the mother she's an alcoholic, and I had several teenagers who reached out to me and said, thank you for writing this. And like, it's sometimes very important still to kind of decide. And I think that's another thing that Courtney Summers was talking about, but it's very different, right? When you're doing self-publishing and traditional publishing, because when it comes to self-publishing, you do have the control over a lot of different things. Much more, of course, than in traditional publishing. Like in traditional publishing, it's pretty much in the hand of your publisher. And even though there's a lot of pressure and a lot of things to be active on social media and to do all those things, it also very much depends on how much your publisher is going to put into the marketing. Like they can move things that you as an author, you don't have. It's not that you don't have the tools to do it, but you don't have the metrics. Like you don't know what you do if that actually helps your sales, which as self-published authors, we do. We know what helps ourselves. And sometimes, yes, it still comes as a surprise when certain things, work better than others. But I could tell on release day for The Leftover Bride that my Facebook ad that I was running, I could tell how many people were clicking on different sites. And I could tell right away from Amazon if that was converted into a sale or not. And then the next day I was able to tell by my sales on Apple if that had converted into sales. So we have the tools. And I think sometimes it's kind of like deciding what goal you have for each book. And I've mentioned before how I still dream, and I still do. Like I fell asleep the day before publication day, and I was dreaming that maybe, Reese Witherspoon will have read my book. I don't know why, but she would have had read it. And she loved it so much that she wanted to make it into her book club. However, it's much harder as a self-published author to get that, right? To get into that particular box. I mean, Reese, if you're listening, you can just contact me, send me an email. I'm sure we can work something out. And, but it's also very different depending on what goals you have. And right now, my goal with The Leftover Bride in English is to build an audience so that the next book does even better. And so, yes, it's thinking about the next book. My goal for The Leftover Bride is to make people smile. Like if I can make someone smile who is having a hard day with this book, that just thinking about it makes me emotional, because this is so much of what I wrote this book for, in addition to bringing an income. And that's my second point. The Leftover Bride, I want to have, I want to make a living out of my writing. And for me to be able to make a living out of my writing, I need people to buy my books. And for people to buy my books, I need to write the best book that I can. And then I need to do the promotion. And then I need to write the next book. So yes, I need to be able to see what is in the back, what I've accomplished, what I've done. And now I need to look forward and see, okay, so now that it's out, first of all, I'm not going to be done promoting it, like, because it's 2 days out. Like, I'm going to be spending months promoting that book. I mean, I have, with Christmas, with the holidays, this is a holidays romance. So there is another great opportunity to promote it and share more info about it. And I'm genuinely excited about this book. So that makes that part really easier. And I've been excited about all my books, but this one, again, it's I don't know, it's not more special than my other books, but it's still very special. So, and then I'm going to keep on writing the next one. And I have 2 books that I want to release next year. And then I'm going to try to see in my timing, what should I do? Should I also write those novellas I was talking about? Should I do a pen name for those novellas if I want to make a STEAM novel a bit different? See how else I can have a sustainable career as an author. And as I've mentioned last week, so what I've done already now since the book has been published, I published the second part of my bilingual book, Always Second Best, Eine zweite Chance, which is a second chance, technically. Eine zweite Chance. And Teil 2 Part 2. So that has been published both as an ebook and as paperback. And I've just published the audiobook of One Dream Only in German, Alles für einen Traum, on Findaway Voices. So that's available outside, so that's also available, on Google and everything. And I'm about to publish the bilingual version with Megan Carter's narration of One Dream Only, Un Seul Rêve. So that's the bilingual French-English version. And that I'm also going to be publishing on Findaway Voices. So this is what I'm doing to generate more income at the moment. I'm also finding somebody to work on my French book. So that's very exciting. And yeah, and then just, as I said, since I'm no longer breathing, sleeping, eating the leftover bride, try to be more present in other areas and try to organize my time in such a way that I can achieve my goals and my dreams. So yeah, these are the thoughts of a self-published author 2 days after publication. Okay, and I really, really need to make a list of all the things I need to share about congratulations and new book releases and everything. There is one book that just released this week that I'm super excited about. White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. And I mean, it's The Haunting of Hill House meets Get Out in this chilling YA psychological thriller and modern take on the classic haunted house story from New York Times bestselling author Tiffany D. Jackson. And one of the blurb for that book is from R.L. Stine himself, the author of Goosebumps and Fear Street. And Courtney Summers also blurbed it, with who I'm just talked about before. So yeah, I am very excited about that book. What The Chemical Engineer and I are currently watching, Ted Lasso. The last episode of Ted Lasso. If you have not watched it, I don't want to give any spoiler, but let's just say that that one made me quite emotional. It was a great episode. And yes, Ryan from The Leftover Bride has a bit of a Roy Kent side to him, I have to say. And then what else are we watching? We're still watching The Witches Show on Hulu, Motherland, Fort Salem. So we're still watching that. And we're also watching American Horror, like the latest season of American Horror Story. Yeah, this one, I don't know if you're watching it, but this one is about artists taking a pill And if they, I don't want to give any spoilers either, but let's just say that there are a few writers in that particular storyline, and yeah, it's interesting. So that's what we're currently watching. Very different things, as you can tell, between Ted Lasso and American Horror Story. They are not the same at all. Another thing I've been doing is listening to the Bridgerton unofficial musical pretty much on repeat. So if you like Bridgerton, I would give it a listen. Or if you haven't watched Bridgerton and just want to listen to song that might inspire your love stories, I think it's full circle, right? Because it's based on Julia Quinn's Bridgerton, then on the series from Netflix, like, was adapted from Julia Quinn's novels, and then Abigail Barlow and Emily Baer wrote the musical mostly based on the TV show, even though they also, I think, read the books. And yeah, and now I'm listening to the music to inspire some of my books. So full circle. Okay, and I think I'm going to stop here for now, because I could keep on talking about release day and like the way I'm going to outline the next books, but I need to save some for the next weeks, right? Thank you so much for listening. As always, don't hesitate to rate, review, share with your friends, share about The Leftover Bride, help me build that audience of readers.
Happy writing if you're a writer, and to everyone, happy reading.